yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Now today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this super double thick Christmas country stripe hot pad and pot holder. It is made from 100% cotton. It's nice and thick. It'll protect your surface if you want to put a hot casserole dish on it, or a hot bowl of bread or a basket of bread. And it'll also protect your hands when bringing those Christmas cookies in and out of the oven. It's also beautiful if you just want to hang up and decorate with it. It measures 9 by 9 inches. It is double thick because we do make 2 squares and put them together and then add this really cute picot trim. And it has this really beautiful texture with rows of single crochet alternated with front post triples and double crochet stitches. So it's really a simple pattern, not hard at all. And the trim is just picot stitches alternating with single crochet stitches. And you get this lovely hot pad. And remember, I made this for Christmas. But you could make a set of these for anyone getting a new home, getting married, moving out for the first time, matching their kitchen, or make them to match your kitchen. You don't have to make them in the Christmas colors. But we'll talk more about yarn in just a second. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog. And as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our Christmas country striped hot pad or pot holder, we're going to be making them out of cotton yarn. It's very important because if you make these out of acrylic and you use them as actual hot pads or pot holders, acrylic will melt and it will burn your surface, but more importantly, it will burn your hand. So you need, if at all possible, to make these out of 100% cotton. I'm using this sugar and cream today, and you're going to need 4 ounces. And each one of these only has 2 ounces on it. There it is. And so you're going to need 2 of these because we're going to be making a front and a back, 2 squares, and then we're going to put it together and add a fun little trim. All right? And this is sugar and cream stripes, and the color is called Holiday Stripes. And I really love it because it's a creamy beige sort of color with some muted green and some muted red. And you can see how that stitches up. Now, you don't have to do these in Christmas colors. You may want to make them in the color of your kitchen to match your colors. Or maybe you're giving them for a gift. Someone's getting a new house, getting married, or moving out for the first time in their own apartment, and you want to make them something. You could always make these in their favorite colors or in the colors of their kitchen. Still makes a great Christmas gift and also makes a great gift any time of year. I just happen to really love this particular color of sugar and cream. As a matter of fact, I have a whole line of country ornaments. There's a star, a bell, let's see, a Christmas tree. There's also a old-fashioned country dress that is considered a hot pad. I use it more for decoration. And then there's also a sugar and cream country doily. And so I was asked, do you have just a basic hot pad? And I said, you know what? I need to make one. And so I did. She asked me last year. I'm just getting it done this year. Doing my best. I'm trying to play catch up this year and get a lot of things done that we didn't get done because of our big move. All right? Because remember, we moved from Colorado back to Oklahoma. All right, so you're going to need to make 2 of the squares. We're going to put them together and then make a trim. And we're going to be using an H-hook, which is a 5mm, to stitch them up. You need a needle and a pair of scissors. All right, let's start with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 24 chains. And I do recommend that you chain this initial chain just a little bit loose. We don't want the end of our hot pad to be puckered up and not be able to meet up when we put the 2 squares together. All right. So 24 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And again, I've stitched that just a little bit loose. We're going to begin this row by stitching a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those chains, working all the way across. One double crochet in each of those chains, working all the way across. We began in the 4th chain from the hook. Our chain 3 here counts as 1 stitch, and then we stitched 1 double crochet in each of our chains across, so we have 22 double crochets. And again, I just want to remind you that we stitched that a little bit loose. All right, now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and so we're going to single crochet in that first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet in each of the double crochets, working all the way back across our row. One single crochet in each of our double crochets all the way across. So we stitched 1 single crochet in each of our stitches across. So we have 22 single crochets. Now we're going to chain 3, and this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. On this row, we're going to begin to form our texture. So what we're going to do is we're going to triple front post in the row below. Okay, so we're going to put 2 wraps on our hook, and we're not going to stitch in the single, but we're going to stitch down here in the double crochet and stitch a front post triple. All right, and then we're going to do that in the next stitch. 2 wraps, go around the front post of the double crochet and stitch our triple. All right, so we have 2 doubles in our 2 single crochets, and then 2 triples and the 2 double crochets from the previous row. All right, so now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And so what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this across, alternating 2 triples and again, those triples are stitched down in the double crochet row, and then 2 double crochets, and the double crochets are stitched in the single crochet row. I like how this changed colors where it did, because I think it makes it a little easier for you to see where those stitches need to go. So when we're stitching our 2 double crochets, we're stitching them in that row of single crochets. When we're stitching our 2 front post triple stitches, they're going down below in the double crochet row. And this gives us a really nice texture. It's also just really pretty. All right, and we'll just continue to repeat this across. 2 doubles, 2 triples, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and our triples are front post down in the double crochet row. So I have repeated that all the way across. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 double crochets. And then we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 triple front post stitches, which again equals 22 stitches. All right, now we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to single crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across. Doesn't matter if it's a front post triple or if it's a double crochet. We're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across our row. So we stitched a single crochet in each of our stitches across, and now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, we have 22 single crochets. Now we're going to alternate where we put our front post triples. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And that will give us 4 double crochets at the beginning of our row. Because our chain 1 counted us 1 and we stitched 3 more. Now we're going to do those front post triples in these 2 double crochets from the previous row. And see how we're alternating? Here's our 2 triples here, and then we did our 2 triples here. And so we'll stitch a double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And then we'll stitch our 2 front post triples in the next 2 double crochets from that previous row. And it's alternating in between to give us that really cool texture. Okay, and we'll just repeat this across. And just so you know how to keep on track is when you stitch those 2 double crochets, they're going to be in the single crochets up above the triples from that previous row. And when you stitch your 2 triples that are front post, they're going to be in those 2 double crochets from that previous row. All right, and that will help keep you on track, knowing that you stitch your double crochets in the single crochets and your triple front posts in the double crochets from the row. It's actually below the previous row. Okay, and we'll just stitch that across. So I have completed that row across, and we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 double crochets and 2, 4, 6, 8 of our triple front post stitches, which is again 22 total stitches. All right, so we chained 1, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those stitches across. And like I said, it doesn't matter what stitch it is, whether it's a triple front post or a double crochet, we're just stitching a single crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across. So again, I've stitched a row of single crochets, 22, and then we chained 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to repeat row 3, row 4, row 5, and row 6, and you're going to repeat those rows 4 more times, and that will get you up to row 18. All right, so repeat row 3, 4, 5, and 6 4 more times, and that will get you up to row 18. So here's my first square up through row 18. I've gone ahead and weaved in my ends, And now I need to make a second square. So now I have 2 squares, and we're going to put them together. Now the second square, I left my yarn attached, okay? That's because we're going to put them together and stitch them together. So we're going to put the backs together. We're going to line everything up. All right. Let's see. Here's where I left off with this one. So I'm going to pull that up just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make a chain 1. All right. So now we're going to stitch across the top. And I did go ahead and weave in the other end of this one that I left attached, so that there isn't anything that has to be weaved in except for the yarn that we're working on. So we've got our 2 squares together with the right sides facing out. And we're going to begin by going across, and we're just going to stitch a single crochet going through both sides, stitching the top together. All right. And then when we get to the corner, we're going to stitch a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, that string in there. All right, so let's go across the top first, stitching single crochets, stitching the top together. And you can see already when you're holding this how thick this hot pad is. It's very safe and thick. You won't have any trouble putting hot pots or hot bowls on it, or using it to pull a cookie sheet out of the oven. All right, so I'm stitching it together, going across the top, and then I'll show you how to do the corner and the next side. So I've stitched all the way across, stitching them together. And in this corner, we've got 1 single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same spot. Now we're going to evenly single crochet down the side. And it can be a little bit tricky when we don't have stitches, but if you put your stitches in the sides of the stitches and not the holes, you'll get much better results than if you stick them in the holes. All right. Now on the single crochet row, it's nice and easy. We can stick it right in the side. And then on the double crochet rows, we have to work around it just a little bit. And the key to getting it to look nice and neat is you want to try to space them a little bit so that they're not bunched up on each other, but you don't want them to be too spaced apart. And make sure you keep everything lined up on the side, or you'll end up with one side longer than the other. So we got to take care of that too. As far as this hot pad goes, this is the hardest part, is just making sure you keep it lined up and you get your single crochets looking nice and tidy on the side. Because once we get down to the bottom here, we'll have these stitches here where we started with our chains to stitch in, and then of course we'll do the same thing up this side. All right, so we're evenly single crocheting around all 4 sides of our hot pad and placing a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in each of the 4 corners. And then we'll just meet up with our first single crochet. So I've evenly stitched down the side of my hot pad. I'm in the corner, chain 1, and I'm going to stitch another single crochet in that corner. Well, goodness gracious, there we go. And see, now we have these chains that we began with when we first started our washcloth, and we can just stitch in those chains, and that makes it nice and easy going across the bottom of our hot pad. All right, and then we'll just stitch across these. We'll stitch up the side and join back to that first single crochet, and then we're going to add just a little bit of a fun trim, and of course we have to add a loop so we can hang it up. So I have evenly single crocheted around all 4 sides of my hot pad, placing a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in each of the 4 corners, and then I join back to my first single crochet. And now we're going to do just a little bit of a trim that's just going to give it a little bit of fun and go along great with what we have going on. So for this really simple little trim, we're going to single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a picot stitch, only we're only going to chain 2. 1, 2, and then we'll slip stitch in that single crochet. Then we'll go right to the next stitch and stitch 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1 in each of the next 3. Then we'll chain 2, slip stitch in the top of that single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. And so basically we're going back around with single crochets, but we're adding these picot stitches on the 3rd stitch of each one. And we're only doing 2 chains, not 3. Usually a picot has 3, but we're just doing 2 because we don't want the bump to be quite as big as it is on the regular picot stitch. All right, and we're just going to go all the way around our whole pot holder. And I just think this adds just a fun little touch to it. And if you don't want to do the picot stitches, you can just do another row of single crochets. It'll look pretty like that too. I just really like adding this little extra. I call it a short picot because it's only 2 chains instead of 3 chains like a regular picot stitch. All right, and we're just going to go right around the corners. We're not going to do any extra stitches. And it doesn't matter if a picot lands in a corner or if it's off-centered. Doesn't matter a bit. Just move around that corner however they happen. All right. So I have completed that trim with the 3 single crochets and a picot repeated all the way around. And I just love it. I think it just adds a little extra country feel to it. All right, so I joined here and we want to make a hanger so we can hang up our hot pad so we can get to it easily. And so we're just going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then we're going to join back to that same stitch. We're going to chain 1. And now, oh, I got a string in there. There we go. And now we want to stitch in this because we want this to be a substantial hanger because this is a heavier substantial hot pad. And so all you're going to do is go in around that chain and stitch 12 single crochets. And this is just going to make it stronger and sturdier. That chain won't break that way. So we're just going around and we're adding 12 single crochets around that chain. And I didn't count, so let me count how many I've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and get in there. Oops, there we go, 12. All right, now we're going to join right back to that same stitch. Cut our yarn and tie off. So now we have a substantial hanger so we can hang it up. All right, so the last thing we need to do is just weave in this end and we are done and ready to give this away or keep it for ourselves. And make sure you attach this good and secure because I have a feeling this hot pad is going to be used a lot and be pulling off that hanger all the time. I'm going to give that just a little bit more security. Now the last thing I wanted to do is add a fun country button. All right, and I want to put it right up here in the corner. So I'm going to make that little loop. And then we'll just stitch this on. And this is decorative, but we want it to stay put, so make sure you go through some stitches. So it's nice and secure, and it's not going to go anywhere. But we want to keep it right up in the corner because it is plastic, and so we don't want to melt it or anything. You can use a wooden button. That would be super cute. There we go. All right, then we're going to grab that string with our hook that we did the loop with and pull it to the back. All righty. We'll just tie this securely. I don't recommend putting any other buttons anywhere on it because remember, if you want to use this as an actual hot pad, those buttons, if they're plastic, might melt or get hot. All right. So it's just a decorative button, so it looks pretty when it's hanging up on the wall. And I really love how our country striped Christmas hot pad turned out. I may have to keep this one. I probably won't.